Hello and welcome to the Mirrored Muse podcast, a sanctuary for the soul and a spark for the revolutionary spirit, where our truth is always reflected, our radiance remembered, and our spirit set free. I'm your host, Whitney Amber, and together we'll journey into the depths of what it means to awaken, embody, and expand as the muse of our own life. Through soulful storytelling, raw reflections, guided practices, and revolutionary conversations, this podcast is here to truly meet you in your own becoming. So let's take a deep breath, soften our edges. It's time to step into the mirror. This is your invitation to rise. Hey love, welcome back to the Mirrored Muse podcast. This week's conversation has been 2 weeks in the making and just unfolding in real time. Now, I want you to know I had all my notes drafted, all my key points highlighted last weekend, was so prepped and ready to push record and just do the thing. And I kid you not, it was like the universe completely pressed pause in the most dramatic way and in the form of just a full body block. And just the vibes were not vibing. Something just felt off. And I told myself when I started the podcast, Whitney, you will not show up and speak anything that doesn't feel embodied. And let me just tell you, this week's episode is the pure illustration of exactly that. Hence, why it's 7 days later. I don't know, it was just like the universe hit rewind in real life. It felt like slow motion and fast forward all at once. And almost like they were sending me this message of, girl, you're going to have to walk this one again and from every angle before you even try to speak about it. And now it makes so much more sense. Of course, hindsight is always 20/20, right? So I want you to know this isn't just another topic. This is a truly embodied truth because this is something I've been living for the last 9 years of my life. Only now, well, it's just really magnified. So I'm calling this episode Trust and Know When Your Intuition Speaks Before the Proof Arrives. Now, there's a million different ways that we can speak about and talk about intuition, but the intention of this conversation is to really pause and notice the answers and the truth that we hold. Physically, sometimes it can show up emotionally, energetic, like there's a lot of different ways it can show up, but we have to be aware of that to begin with, right? So most of the time we already know. And yeah, I'm talking to both of us, you and I. And there's no logical explanation. We just know. It's that next step. The yes or the no, whether to stay or go. And that crossroads moment isn't meant to break you. No, it's just an invitation to listen to the answer you do already hold. It's that whisper that nudges you toward an unseen door of alignment. It's this whisper that holds the truth we're actually seeking. And we always hold that. But oftentimes we find ourselves seeking externally for a sign and then another sign and then a signier sign and then a neon sign because we missed and forgot and have totally invalidated the last 3 signs, right? Like we could go on and on and on with this. But how often do we actually trust the knowing we're given? How often do we let our quiet inner GPS, aka intuition, be the loudest voice in the room? Because truthfully, that voice is often what even got us in the room to begin with, or led us to the right moment of getting in line next to the person that just so happened to strike up a conversation that, and the whole, story unfolds of how, maybe they were in the same industry or they're working in an industry you're looking to get into or at the firm you're looking to get the job at. Like you guys know what I'm talking about. It's our intuition. What I'm trying to tell you is like the real live magic 8 ball. And when we stop outsourcing our knowing, that's when we start embodying our truth. And since this episode is dropping a week later than planned, which now seems even more divinely timed with the full moon in Aries tonight, I do want to tell you what actually happened over the last week. So there was something that was heavy on my heart, and I just low-key been spiraling, seeking clarity on something that is deeply personal to me. And I'd already received intuitive confirmation several times before. But, since reality didn't quickly reflect the manifestation of this confirmation, this intuitive knowing, I just dismissed it as an intuitive miss, quote unquote, which, by the way, is not a thing. There is no such thing as an intuitive miss. And also here, I just want to add a side note and added context that after my divorce 9 years ago, I have been keeping and have kept an evidence journal. And in this journal, I would track signs, synchronicities, dates, and dreams, hoping that seeing this proof would help me relax and finally trust what my body already knew and was telling me. I guess I thought by being intellectual about this and being able to see consistent hard evidence, signs, dates, dreams, and timing, etc., that this would inevitably allow me to trust easier. I don't know, to relax or to soften, to finally arrive at this place that would allow me to trust fully. And this is a really masculine way to approach trust, because this approach actually places the heavy lift in the arms of the headspace and mind, when in transparency, this is a total responsibility of the heart. Trust is it's a heart thing. But last Sunday night, I experienced just the full body block, no chance of recording. It just did not feel right, was not happening. Then Monday morning came. I woke up in a total funk. I remember too, the last thing I wrote in my morning pages of my journal was, and let me find the note here because this is in direct quotes. Okay, I wrote, "It's so interesting, the resistance I feel in my body. I feel anxious. I want to cry. Universe and team of light, please reveal to me what you are trying to communicate to me. I can no longer sit and be with the narratives I tell myself about the situation. I need you to show me truth. No more illusion, no angel numbers, just truth. Show me truth." That's what I wrote in my journal. So later that morning, the lesson came through my body instead of my notebook. I was pretty moody and restless. I felt so much discomfort and frustration. Usually when this happens, what I will do is just go into my normal mirror dancing. And that always helps move whatever's trying to come through. Well, not this time. Nothing seemed to help. So I rolled out my mat and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put on some Travis Elliott, who I adore, for some yin yoga. And guys, within minutes, tears started flowing. My body folded into the fetal position. And immediately, there was the clarity. Through the tears. In the fetal position, on my mat that I'm supposed to be doing yoga on. No. Completely took a whole other form. And this clarity did not come in an audible voice per se. More just like a flash of knowing that clearly said, "Whitney, trust and know. Trust and know. You already know, Whitney. You've been given the signs. And it is safe to trust this knowing now. Trust and know what your heart is telling you and what has been telling you. This isn't ego. This is divine intelligence. Trust and know what you feel is truth." Guys, it was vivid. It was so real. It was almost like truth in motion. So I grabbed my journal and just began writing what was coming through, along with all the flashes of insight, which honestly looked like a movie script that seemed to be connecting the dots in real time from everything that had unfolded over the last 48 months. It was too much to write and to even keep up with, so I stopped writing, which seemed to be the whole lesson in and of itself. Because it was like, this was not about compiling the evidence anymore. This was merely about trusting all the evidence that I had been given before, but more than the evidence, trusting this knowing that I've received numerous times. And so, right after that, I kid you not, it was like life started giving me the cosmic winks in all kinds of directions and in the most dramatic way. So, it started with a song on the radio. And for my song lovers, I just have to let you know the song is Back at One by Brian McKnight, which was significant. So, it started with that. Then moved to a moment where I drove by a specific spot on our family road that was vividly part of a dream that I had had 2 years ago, where I was given the answers about the matter that I've been spiraling about 2 years ago. Okay. So then that led to a completely random FaceTime from my intuitive coach that I used to work with in Nashville. And she shared a vision that she had received after literally leaving the eye doctor. Okay, the irony there, I just can't. But she was leaving the eye doctor and received this vision and felt very, very strongly prompted to share it with me. Guys, when I tell you that the vision 100% mirrored not just this whole topic and situation that I was seeking clarity on, but literally a dream that I had had the night before. Then, next leads to a message from a dear, dear friend completely across the world who felt intuitively prompted to send me a song because she had responded to my message about said situation I was seeking clarity on. And she's very privy to it because she and I talked about it at great length in Bali and just a lot of lovely, lovely things there. But she's fully versed on the situation. And we had been messaging after she had responded. This song came on her playlist, and she was like, "What? I don't know. Like, this song came on, and I feel very strongly prompted to send it to you. If it resonates, great. If not, my dear, here it is." Guys, when I tell you, I turned on the song, of course, and my body reacted in the exact same way. Not in the fetal position, nothing like that, but like the sensations, the warmth, all of the exact same unfolding physically I received while listening to that song that had happened while I was laying on my yoga mat, receiving this download of just trust and know, trust and know. Whitney, you already know the answer to this. And it's okay to know this answer. You can trust this knowing. And it's safe to intuitively know things without logical explanation or reasoning. So I was like, oh my gosh, at this point, this is 5 confirmations, not just in one day, but all in the matter of maybe 2 hours of me asking the universe for this. And all of these signs were so aligned with the very thing I had been questioning. It was like it made total sense intuitively and no sense at all logically. But isn't that how the heart and mind work, right? Mind wants logic. The heart just is and knows. It doesn't need reason to make sense of anything. It just feels and knows. So because this isn't something the mind can understand, it's something, again, only the heart can feel. And you know, that moment also revealed a subconscious belief that I had been carrying. And it just dawns on me of, oh my God, So this belief says something to the effect of, we can trust the universe with low-hanging fruit and a lot of other things, but not with what matters to us the most. No, 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 not our wildest dreams. Definitely not that. And sure, we can trust the universe with the small stuff, but again, nope, not the big stuff, not the wildest dreams. No way. And we can trust ourselves with a lot of things, but the really big dreams, like the love, the abundance, the life we secretly ache for, oh no, we're on our own for that. Like, what? I kid you not. It just dawns on me of, oh my God, this is what I've been carrying around as a subconscious belief. And so now I'm like, everything started to make sense and line up as to why when I would have these intuitive downloads and knowings, no wonder I couldn't trust them. I had this small inkling of a belief that basically the root of it is I can't trust the universe and I can't trust myself. And then when you go deeper than that, it's this belief that the universe and myself aren't working together on the same team to make all the fireworks and beauty, all the things I want to create in this life happen. Like, what? What a way to be in my own way, right? And I have a feeling I may not be the only one who is carrying around this belief. Guys, this is the kind of narrative and belief that will keep you looping until you name it, feel it, and say, you know what, this isn't mine. I'm going to give this back to you. I'm going to hand it back. But here's what I've learned this week. Trusting and knowing is not about waiting for reality to line up. It's about letting your inner truth lead before the evidence shows up. Because that truth doesn't just go away. When it's truth, it does not go away. It's about letting your inner truth lead even when everything outside of you still looks like a no. And when everyone around you is talking in different directions away from this knowing and this truth that you hold. The second we decide to actually trust our knowing and let go of the external validation and the needing for signs and the evidence, this is where the illusions fade. This is where the masks fall. We can no longer pretend because truth just is. This is where the real magic begins. So let's talk about this superpower that we all hold called intuition. Because we live in a culture that is so obsessed with proof. Both hands are being raised right now. You can't see them, but I'm raising them. Because I used to be her. I needed hard, tangible evidence and proof to even begin to believe and trust, right? So I get it. And along with this culture and this world that we live in that is so obsessed with not just proof, but bullet points, spreadsheets, group chats, gathering opinions like seashells, hoping one will sound like permission. But intuition just doesn't work that way. It doesn't shout in bullet points. It hums. Sometimes off key, sometimes on key. You just never know. It just is. It just is. It speaks in goosebumps, gut feelings, and sudden clarity. It's the knowing that arrives before the evidence unfolds. It's the knowing that arrives before our eyes can see the thing that we've painted in our minds to be. Feeling is the language of the soul. This happens through the heart space, not the head space. And so I think about the moments when I felt that full body yes and knowing before logic could catch up. It was booking the one-way ticket to Bali, where I only Whitney held this knowing of this is what I'm supposed to do. And I trusted that and I did it. And there was not one person around me that was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. Oh, yeah, this is, like what? No. Same thing with proceeding on to Paris with no plan. And then, of course, pressing record on the Mirrored Muse podcast into my iPhone before I even had equipment or all the answers. Each time, my mind drafted 100 questions and reasons not to listen to my intuition. What if this isn't the move? What if I fail or look like a fool? Quick hi, hello to our ego there with that one. But my inner GPS kept repeating one thing: Whitney, trust and know. Clearly, the way that we've been moving and going about before isn't working. So why not? Just trust and know. It is safe to trust your knowings. It is safe to trust your intuition. Because one thing is for sure, there's not one time that I've trusted that intuition and regretted it. Because it's a heart knowing. Not one time have I regretted it. The only time that I've had regret is not listening to it. And here's the thing. The inner knowing is not random. It's there for a reason. It's our compass. It's our true north. It shows up when everything else tries to lead us astray. And in a world that tests us, quizzes us, and pressures us to have all the right answers to life's biggest questions, like what's my purpose? What's my next step? Who's my forever person and soulmate? Guys, your knowing already holds the answers. Now, these answers may not come in names. They may not come in, a specific next step. I'd be curious also to know your manifestation type, which human design outlines. For me, it's specific. So sometimes it does show up in very specific ways, but most of the time it doesn't. But there is a truth. There is the truth in this inner knowing that our intuition holds when it comes to these big life questions. We already hold these answers, but are we listening to them? This truth does not vanish when doubt walks in. It doesn't dissolve under pressure. It's the truth that remains when everything else gets loud. And let me tell you, in all of the noise and the information and ChatGPT and all the beautiful tools that we have at our disposal, without our intuition, it will be very difficult to navigate forward into this future that is unfolding before us. Because there's a million different voices and a million different ways of telling us how we should proceed forward. But nothing will create harmony and alignment like listening to our intuition. Full stop, period. Our intuition is our true north and our inner GPS that will most effectively and efficiently guide us through the years to come, especially for these next generations, for our kids and their kids' kids. We have to come back to our intuition. She knows. He knows. I promise you. And when we finally trust it, the pretending falls away. The masks, the false narratives, the shoulds, what ifs, and the supposed tos, they'll come up for sure. But they just can no longer hold up anymore. Because the light within us illuminates everything it touches. And what isn't truth simply dissolves in this light that we hold within, called our intuition. And the beautiful thing about trusting our knowing and intuition is that life always sends a wink back. Not because not because it suddenly became true, no, but because you aligned yourself with truth that was there and has been there all along. When we trust what we know, reality rearranges itself around that truth. The proof or evidence is just the universe catching up to our knowing. I think about last weekend when I climbed into oh my God, my niece's go-kart with my dad. I made a whole post on Instagram about it. It was a core mem that my heart will never unsee, no matter where I'm at, what I'm doing in the world for the rest of my life. So I think about that weekend, which 100% played into all of this trusting and knowing. Because for years, I had this deep knowing that alchemy existed with my dad and that relationship. But you talk about the definition of what a miracle would be, and that was it. That's one very clear one. And just last weekend, it played right out. And on the surface, of course, it was just a ride down back roads in my niece's go-kart with my dad. But inside, it was a 34-year miracle. A moment of play and presence that dissolved years of distance, years of fear, years of lack of safety. That's what trust does. It puts us in the right room for a miracle to arrive. Or, I think about the way angel numbers kept appearing as if to say, no, Whitney, you're not crazy. You're actually aligned. You're on track. And specifically, there was an 1111 on the mailbox, and then the 555 on the license plate at Walmart, and the $12.12 printed on my receipt total at the grocery store. These are ordinary numbers that became extraordinary evidence only when and after I chose to believe my knowing first. Even the way the Mirrored Muse was born, I didn't have a business plan printed out. I only had a whisper. Whitney, start speaking, start sharing. And as soon as I trusted that knowing, the podcast flowed. The community gathered, is still gathering. The vision kept expanding and keeps expanding. The evidence isn't what makes the knowing true. The evidence is what meets you after you say yes. It's like life is saying, see, you were right to trust yourself all along. So now I do want to share with you a practice that I do all the time. And it's one that has become very near and dear to me. And it's a 4-step process. And I do this practice because, knowing is one thing, but honoring and trusting that knowing is a whole other thing. So here's a very simple practice to help you build trust with your own inner compass, with your intuition, because it absolutely takes practice. So first, if it's safe to do so, just close your eyes. You may want to place your hand on your heart or your belly, wherever feels safe and cozy to you. Now we're going to take 3 slow breaths. Inhale, trust. Exhale, doubt. Again, inhale, trust. Exhale, doubt. Last time. Inhale, trust. Exhale, doubt. And just whisper to yourself, I trust. I know. And now gently, just ask yourself the thing you've been circling around. Maybe you've been spiraling to, or there's something you need and want clarity on. So just ask the question as if the universe is sitting right in front of you. Do I stay or do I go? Is this aligned? What's my next right step? show me. Show me truth. Show me truth of this situation, whatever your question is. And step 3, now we're going to feel for the yes. Feeling for the yes gets us back in the body, back in the heart space. So notice how your body is responding. Yes feels like expansion, warmth, liberation, tears, peace. No feels like frustration, tightness, tension, or closing. Now is step 4 and the actual mirror moment. If you can, look yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, and say out loud, I trust and I know. Let your reflection hear it. Oof, as I say that now, I trust and I know. Immediately brought to my own mind and vision are all of the evidence, the bullet points about the situation right now, actively just flooding my mind doing this practice. Now, sometimes I can be pretty heavy in the mind and it's hard for me to drop down in my body. So there has been the occasional moment where I get to step 4. I'm looking myself in my eyes in the mirror and I'm saying the thing out loud and I just can't get out of my head. So if that's you, I invite you to maybe start with the journal prompt. And the journal prompt that I like to use oftentimes if I'm starting out this way is, where have I already been given the answer but haven't trusted it yet? Where have I already been given the answer but haven't trusted it yet? This is also a great way to maybe you reached, number 4 and all the things did come and now you're able to backtrack and see, oh, wait a second. I have been given this evidence or this moment or this clarity. Why am I not trusting it? Maybe you're carrying too a subconscious belief. What is that belief? Let's get to the root of it. Our intuition is communicating with us all the time. We just have to listen. And no, you don't need a full moon. Luckily, we have one tonight, but you don't need one. You don't need a retreat or even a long meditation. Just 3 simple breaths and your own presence. That's enough to find your true north. Now, as we bring this week's conversation to a close, I invite you to just take one final breath with me. We're going to inhale trust and exhale doubt. Ready? Inhale trust. Exhale doubt. Hand over your heart and just whisper, I trust and I know. I trust and I know. Now, you can absolutely share your own trust stories with me over on Instagram at The Mirrored Muse, because I love hearing how your inner compass, your intuition is guiding you too. And next week, we will be right on schedule to have our conversation. I can't wait to see you there. I hope all of you have a beautiful week. And until then, remember, you already know. You are the muse. You hold the answers. See you next week. Well, that was fun. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, for trusting me with your time, and for joining this moment, this mirror, this movement of remembering. If something in today's conversation lit a spark, I'd be so jazzed and honored if you'd pass it on by leaving a review, sending it to a friend, or bringing it into your own conversations. For now, you can connect with more inspo, reflections, resources, and our beautiful community on Instagram at The Mirrored Muse. Until next time, stay wild, stay soft, and remember, you are the muse.